Hello, David.
Hello there. How are you
Welcome.
doing?
Great. Excited for this blog post to go out tomorrow and for the upcoming holidays. How are
Yay.
you?
Me too. Although uh, as soon as Jay comes on, I'm going to go nag him.
Okay.
And I've added it. Basically, we think it's all ready. Um, but the blog post tomorrow, and I think we're going to get more activity. But you know, there are some last minute proposals, and never want anything to go out without review by the author.
Yes.
So basically, hey, we think it's all okay. Do you think it's okay? I think it'll be fine. I mean, they are really very small tweaks here and there, but always good.
Excellent.
Hey guys.
Hi there. How are you doing?
Hey.
Good. I don't think I've made it to this one yet.
Well, welcome. Brian, you can begin your effort to show up at many meetings and groups as I have.
No, I'm not even going to try. As I understand it, that is your full-time job. It's only part of mine.
There are some competitions it's best not to play.
Yeah.
To put it another way, this is not a competition you actually want to win. And I say that in somewhat of jest, because in fact we've got a lot of really awesome groups here. I can't cover them all, and there's some really awesome stuff happening. So, that's just I'm in some sense. I don't need more meetings, but on the other hand, each one is, for the most part, each one's a joy. Alrighty.
It's only a joy when work gets done. It's not a joy otherwise.
I hear you.
When people are actually talking, it's a joy. Otherwise, you're just sitting there thinking about all the work you got to get done that you're not getting done because you're sitting there with dead air.
I totally get you.
Yeah.
So okay, actually, I think the time has started. Do we want to, Jay? It's your, I think it's your show, and Adrian, you too. Yeah. So, you want to just go ahead and get started?
Absolutely, and thanks, David. All right, guys. So we're here. This will be. I want to say this is the last meeting before the Thanksgiving break, and then we'll come back. We'll come back after that, and then we'll probably have maybe a meeting or two before the end of the year. Maybe one. People will be ready to break fast for Christmas. We don't suspect that this will be a long meeting. We just have a couple of things to share. The first being our blog posts, right? So we got those done, and they look good. We still have a couple of. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Jay. I'm already gonna make you lose the meeting because I'm gonna give you an assignment, and that is, I think that the final draft blog post is ready to go, but it's got your name on it, and we want to make sure that, I mean, there were some very small tweaks, but we wanted to make sure you were okay with that before it gets published. So if
Absolutely.
you could, if you could by the end of the day, take a look. They're small. They're very small wordsmithy changes. There was a movement of two sentences to later. It's that kind of stuff. But we never want to post anything without confirming that the author actually agreed to it.
Absolutely, and I did want to get with you on a couple of the comments too. Abhishek had some really some were good comments, and then some were comments I wanted to ask about. But yeah, I'll take a look at that. I've got to get on the plane at about 3:00, so I'll take a look at it while I'm on the plane, and we'll get those straightened out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we if it's supposed to get out tomorrow, we got to get yours sign off soon. So.
Yep. Yeah. So we got those for the good of the group. We got those, and we're happy to share them. Right. They're we're really happy about them. And then of course we'll pop open the repo. We made a couple of changes per a couple of the issues. We made some governance changes, so some admin changes to support our movements towards the project specification, a project towards specification. So we made some governance changes, some admin changes in the repo. So we want to share those as well. And outside of that, I mean, I think this will be a short meeting because we do want to make sure that time is given back to finish up things you got to finish up for the week before next week. So without further ado, I'll pass it off to Adrian for anything he's got to share, and then of course we can continue with the agenda.
Here we go. Okay, came off mute. Yeah, hello everybody. So the blog is going out tomorrow. Is it all right if I share a sneak peek at the OpenSSF blog?
Go for it.
So
yeah, I guess we have to be a little cautious. This is actually under a reporter embargo.
Oh,
So
I can,
yeah,
I can...
so let me see. You know what? I mean, it's going to go out tomorrow. So I don't know how we're supposed to handle this sort of thing. All right, you know what? How's this? Let me just ask. I'm making up a process as we go, but tell me if there's a process foul. Do we have any reporters in attendance? There you go. All right, the video won't be able to be. Nobody's going to post the video before tomorrow, and then it'll all go off embargo anyway. So I'm going to declare it's okay to talk about it anyway, Adrian. And
Okay.
if as long as you're okay with it, I just want to make sure the report we promised reporters that that basically here it is in drafts and that sort of stuff. So I want to make sure that we don't send it out to reporters before other reporters when promises have been made, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Good thing to double check. Okay, so switching back over. So the title is OpenSSF expands supply chain integrity efforts with S2C2F. And we've got this great, awesome, big picture. And yeah, so we've got Jay White and David A. Wheeler as the authors here, and just talking about the it's a consumption focused, consumer focused framework, and when coupled with a producer focused, artifact oriented framework such as Salsa, gives software producers and consumers a complete guide for how to approach building and consuming software securely.
Yeah, so I just so there's a couple nits on this, and since we're all here, maybe this is a good time. Can we just say consumer focused instead of consumption focused? I think just consumer is saying consumer and producer are simpler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see, and if I'm really clever, I can find the tab this is in, because I think I have suggestion rights. Okay. But anyway, yeah. Well, we're turning it down because we want to make sure that changes are tracked at this point. All right. So consumer. Yeah. Whoop. Oh, I have editing rights. I didn't want to actually use them because. All right. So consumer focused, producer focused.
Nice.
Okay. And you can see basically what we've got here, which is, you send a doc out to several people and comments ensue, and that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
Yes. And so then, what is it? It describes the 8 practice areas and how these 8 practice areas are organized into 4 different levels of maturity. It explains the 4 levels. We have a quote from Mark Rusinovich, and It includes a guide to assess your organization's maturity and an implementation guide that recommends tools from across the industry to help meet the framework requirements for any company. And then like in closing, we've got OpenSSF's committed to providing pragmatic, accessible frameworks. Maybe I should try zooming in a little bit here.
Okay. You know what? If you don't mind, I'd like to take back what I just said, because I'm realizing that this whole thing is called the consumption framework. So maybe we should be consumption based everywhere. Again, trying to be consistent.
That was where I mean that was where we had in the beginning. But I saw Abhishek's comment.
Yeah,
said,
it's okay to it's okay to disagree. You know, I think in this case, consumption's better because a consumer. While it, I think the opposite of producer is consumer. Sometimes the word consumer is implied like end users, and that's not what we necessarily mean. So I would say consumption and producer. You're just trying to be consistent here. And sometimes we got to say consumers, consumptors. I don't think is a word.
Good catch.
All right. Again, trying to make those last minute tweaks so that this is the best it can be in the time available.
Yeah. And so at the end, we're highlighting the importance of this because there are industry reports like Sonatype's State of the Software Supply Chain report that are highlighting how many attacks are specifically targeting open source. And open source represents a large portion of anybody's software supply chain.
Mm-hmm.
And so the call to actions at the end are you can view or download the guide to get involved with the community discussion, and like a last sentence of like, we're excited for your feedback and contributions.
By the way, there's another stat in there that might be even more relevant. David, you saw it, the 96.4. Right, 96. So in the report, and part of what I presented last week, we looked at the downloads from Central, and of the things that were vulnerable, 96% of them were of things that already had a fix.
And was that in the Sonatype 2022 report?
It's in the same report, but I think that stat is even maybe more relevant if this is about a consumer framework. For me, that's all about nobody is paying attention to what they're using.
Okay.
If they were, they'd be using the fixed versions, not the not fixed versions, right?
Great point. And you know what, Jay, you're here, I'm here. Do you mind if I just start writing in some text and adding that point? Jay, are you good with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that. Let's get it.
Okay, so let's see here. So I would add that right after mentioning the Sonatype report. In addition, what was that stat, 96%?
Let's see. What do we want to say? We might even be able to steal the words already from the report real quick. It's because I know I've had this same conversation before. Like, how do you describe that? Well, okay, let me see. What did we say? It's of the vulnerable, of the things. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, sorry.
I'm trying to get to that report while we speak.
It's sonatype.com/SSC, but which chapter is it? I was just looking for this on a call with Brian earlier today. Here it is. It's
can you throw it in the chat?
Yeah, I'm looking for.
I'm also looking, but being the author, you'll probably get there first.
Oh, here's the link. Yeah, I can throw the link in the chat for sure. This is the chapter, and if you scroll down till you see the big scary pie chart, I'm looking for the
big scary pie chart. Yeah, I saw it. I thought it was a really interesting. I mean, the whole report's very interesting. So, yeah, 95.5% of vulnerability things had a fix.
Yeah.
Okay, it's actually
there's no one single sentence that I'm seeing here, and that's what I was hoping to slurp out. So let's see. At the end of that section, there's this.
Okay. Yeah, but how common are fixed vulnerabilities? I think is the. Let me use that as a start. In addition, 95.5%, Okay, that's right. Of known vulnerable, have a non-vulnerable developers are simply not updating to fixed versions of
Something that hasn't already-
of software.
Yeah,
Huh?
I can't see the blog. Where's the blog?
Oh,
Yeah, because he's showing the other
sorry, I'll
stuff.
switch back.
Yeah,
yeah.
I can't see what he wrote exactly. Yeah. I
And
know
it's
we
and
have
it
a
says
sentence like
accidentally.
that in a deck somewhere that I can't find, but yes, that's basically right. So, protected, yeah, right. So that fits perfectly into that paragraph because that's like they're not updating, and we're trying to help them do a better job, right?
Yeah, and you know what? But now that we've talked about the unintentional ones, I think the following sentence needs just a minor tweak to flow better.
Mhm.
And then I think it all with that new additional sentence, we're I think it's even better now because you're right. That's an awesome stat. I mean, that really is. It's an awesome stat, and it is a really great justification for why we're doing all these things. You know, why care about supply chains? Why care about all this stuff? Because that's where the problems are. So, Brian, thank you so much. It's your great point.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
Sorry, can I just ask a question about that 95.5 stat? Is that for how do we ask the question? Direct dependencies or transitive? So
it's for every. So we just looked at the downloads from the raw downloads, so we don't easily know why they're downloading it. So we said of all the things that are vulnerable, the total is 14%. So 14% of the consumption happens to be of things known vulnerable. When we looked at that 14% and zoomed in, we said of the things being consumed, when they were being consumed, were they known to be vulnerable? 95.8, 95.5%, whatever it is, of the time they were of things that already had a fix available. So like the other stat that I share a lot today, the world is consuming vulnerable versions of Log4j 38% of the time still, right? So those would count as there is a fixed version available. Right?
That's second part of the sentence. So developers are simply not updating to the fixed versions. That's true. So imagine, A depends on B depends on C.
Right.
C is vulnerable, now fixed. B still references the older version. Right. I am a consumer of A. I do not have a fix available for me.
But there is a fix for C.
Absolutely.
Right. And so I acknowledge that there is there's a speed of light problem updating up the food chain, but it still doesn't invalidate the point that there is a fixed version of that component.
I totally agree. It's the developers are simply not updating. In that sentence, I think developers implies consumers of A.
Okay.
Which is I think it puts a little bit too much blame on the.
I mean, it is possible. Certainly, we're talking about Maven specifically here. It is possible to override C. Now, is it compatible or not? Usually, if it was just a vulnerability fix, it would be, right? So, that's an excuse I hear, and it's technically not accurate. I know people they don't like to do it, but I wouldn't be sitting there in January going, I'm not updating Log4j because my direct dependency hasn't done it. Like, I think that's a poor excuse, right? Because
how's this? I don't think the stuff after the semicolon was really necessary. The stat speaks for itself. 95.5%, there's a non-vulnerable option available.
Yeah.
That hits you so far between the eyes that I don't think we need the rest of it.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So if you don't mind, is it okay if we just spend a couple more minutes kind of talking through what's left? Because I know that Jay has to go on travel, and if we could resolve these last few items, that would be awesome. Everybody's okay with saying consumption focused instead of consumer focused? I mean, that's what the document, the doc
Yeah.
itself is. So,
Got a
okay,
thumbs
Jay?
up from a few people. Yeah.
Okay, Jay in particular, since his name is on this, is
Yeah.
but I do want to hear others too. But yeah,
Oh no, I'm good. I'm good. I mean,
good. Okay,
the conversation was good, and where we landed is good too.
okay. Let's see here. Producer focused, artifact oriented. So producer focused, sensible. I think it is. Others agree. Okay. Okay.
Isn't it, so I was going to ask this question, and of course I didn't have the foresight of seeing the blog, but how does this actually intersect with salsa? Because isn't secure consumption actually part of the salsa framework somewhere in there anyway? Like,
funny you should mention that, because one of the last sentences just before the bold one talks about its connection with salsa, which tends to focus more on producer or what do the producers have to do.
right, but the producers should be securely consuming.
Right. That's
That's
right.
my point.
So
And
you
if
need
they're
so
not-
you need both directions.
Yeah, isn't that like you shouldn't be able to get like salsa level 1 if that's the lowest level. I forget. I think it is. Without at least being somewhat secure in your consumption. It feels like a prerequisite to me, but I don't know.
Well, I think the reality is both salsa and S2C2F are in the process of being developed. So, and now we're going to make sure that they actually coordinate together.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I think per salsa. So going into version 1, the focus will be squarely on build and not necessarily source. And since the
Right.
focus is squarely on build, what salsa will be doing at level 1 would put and please correct me if I'm wrong. I might be.
whoops. Jay, we lost you.
You're on mute.
Jay, we lost you.
Oh yeah, I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah, you utilizing the artifacts and dependencies. The artifact, the artifacts of the dependencies gained
Mhm.
to oh God, goodness gracious, I'm gonna get tongue tied on this one. It's the provenance generated through salsa could potentially be used, or the provenance generated through S2C2F can be used to validate the level 1 in salsa. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. That's per level 1 build.
Right. I have a much simpler approach. We have only a draft of salsa. We don't have a 1.0 yet. So
Right.
you can say all sorts of things, but there's still they are endlessly arguing, and you can fairly say that exactly what's going to be in 1.0 is still in discussion. They wanted to just pick on a bigger one, and there were so many. But what do you mean by this is that they're intentionally scoped down a little bit so that it's clear and strong in what it focuses on instead. So, Jay, I think you can let yourself off the hook. I would try to not say with exact detail exactly what salsa is, and that way you're safe no matter what they do.
There you go.
Yeah. So can we delete the when ingesting a set of dependencies? Because I think the issue here is whenever you bring stuff in, it doesn't matter if it's a dependency or not.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's see here. That would be, I would delete that. And Abhishek was the one who suggested the ingesting, but I think because it's not just dependencies, let's see here. I deleted some commas. I hope people are okay with deleting commas.
Yeah.
All right. And let's see here. There's the 95%. We already agreed to that. I made a little tweak, adding the vulnerable packages, including the malicious and compromised. So that because the first one talks about just the unintentional as well.
Yep.
All right. And we're excited to get feedback and contributions. Jay and see, we are excited to get feedback on contributions, see organizations benefit, and deliver on our vision for supply chain security end to end. Jay, that was an addition basically to try to wrap it up into a larger context. Are you good with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that. I got
Okay.
that. I got that part.
Okay. Everybody else? Any concerns?
All
right.
Thumbs up for me.
Awesome. It's a strange thing, but I think this blog post is important for this group. So thank you for being willing to do all that. And Jay, now you can go to the airport.
Yeah. I'll be leaving here in about let's see, 35 minutes, 40 minutes. Yeah.
All right. Yes, but we got your okay, and that was my goal for today.
Excellent. Yeah.
In all seriousness, though, it's really important that we not misrepresent anybody. If there's an author name on it, we want to make sure that you actually agreed to it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now that I've hijacked your meeting, sorry about that. All right, Jay, Adrian, back to your normally scheduled meeting.
Yeah, no, that was fantastic. Blog post agenda topic done. Gonna bring up these reference implementations. So when you come to our repo, you now see this new folder called reference implementation. And this is something that we were working on in the open prior to joining the OpenSSF. And we received feedback like, hey, rather than keep these in random Google Docs, like let's just make them markdown files and have them, right here in the repo.
Right.
So I tracked it as an issue and went ahead and added this. And so we've so far got a page for GitHub and GitLab with the goal of knowing that we want to create reference implementations for each one of these platforms. And this is a great opportunity for the community to contribute and suggest things. So when you come to, GitHub, you get just the giant table that explains the requirement and how we are implementing this. The above each thing I am define this as saying the goal is to show how far a GitHub project can get using as much native tooling as possible. So I always look through the existing capabilities of whatever that platform may be and recommend those things. And in the case when they don't have native tooling, we recommend like OpenSSF tools. And then we did the same thing with the GitLab one. And so this will be like a thing that we'll continue to develop and work on building these out for all the different platforms.
Okay.
And absolutely welcome contributions here.
Gotcha. But by the way, I'm realizing that there's both a PDF and a markdown. Are we going to be automatically generating the PDF, or I'm just afraid of two different versions and version skew?
That is a good idea. That's been brought up before. I think we just need to get to I think we just need to configure that and make that happen. We had, sorry, if we come here to the maintaining the specification, and we can update this as well, but what we had written down here is it's expected that many minor updates will occur, corrections to grammar, spelling clarification, and language. When these occur and are considered minor changes to overall content will not warrant the regeneration of a PDF. This is just how we have been operating and open to other ideas. Randall.
In some other groups that I've been working with, what they do is every time they're gonna like make a PDF, they'll upload it to releases. So like OWASP does that occasionally. So therefore it's like the official versions are in releases if should you want to download them. And by the way, if you want to learn how to automate it, I do know how to make a PDF out of Markdown in GitHub Actions. So recently learned actually.
All right.
I love it. I would.
Yeah, Randall
I-
would definitely appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we
you know
have-
what? That
we
might
have
be.
a PDF. We do have a PDF in releases. There should be one there. I know that's one of the things I did in the repo. Whether I did it correctly or not remains to be seen. But I know I did it earlier, so there should be something there.
Sure. I'll fork it and I'll play around with it for you guys.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. And I had one minor process question, but I didn't want to screw up
Yes.
anybody.
Go for it, because I think we're done early with the agenda topics.
Okay. You know, I slipped into the agenda topics when you weren't looking. So, so anyway, hopefully this is okay. So it's not a requirement, a requirement by OpenSSF that OpenSSF projects have protected branches, but it is something encouraged by scorecards. And so basically protected branches mean that you can't just edit the main branch. You have to create a proposal on another branch and then merge it in. That gives everybody a chance to review something before it's merged in. I think it's a good idea. I'd be happy to push the button to make it happen, but I don't want to screw up anything here. So I basically am asking for permission to push the button.
Yeah, please push the button.
Push the button. All right. All right. If you've seen the Monsters Inc. Sully's car, you know, push the button.
Perfect. Thanks for bringing that up.
Sure. All righty. And it has already. Oh, it's not already done because I have to put in my security key. I haven't done it for. All right. But anyway, it's going to happen today. So that just will give everybody an opportunity to review changes before they happen, which I think is what everyone wants anyway.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much for permission.
Yes.
All right, done.
That's the end of the planned topics. Do we have any other thoughts? Isaac.
Hey friends, it was super quick one, and I dropped this in the Slack a little while ago. But I can't subscribe to the mailing list. There's some error on that, and Adrian, I'm not sure if you set it up or Jay or David if it's an SSF thing. But who would I go bug about that permissions error on the S2C2F mailing list?
Okay, the correct answer for any kind of admin questions like that is operations@openssf.org.
Got it. And if we want to summon an operations person in Slack, is that possible, or is email only?
I mean, you can summon them via Slack also. I don't know if there's a separate operation. Good question. I usually do email, but
I'll take it by email, no problem, and I can even
yeah.
I
don't believe there's an operation Slack, although you can reach Khalil through Slack. I mean, but I don't believe there's just a straight operations through Slack. I think it's just done through email.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. We'll do that.
Because they have to then figure out who does it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. All right, sweet. I will go ahead and do that. Thanks.
Right. Yeah, in some cases I can actually do it, but I know some things and not other things. So if you send it to there, then it ends up in the right person's lap, and they can't escape. All right.
Okay. Randall, is this a new hand?
Yes, this is a new hand. I just wanted to make a quick comment. It's a little premature, but I know that we've had discussions in the past about potentially like distributing this framework with the rest of our education. materials. And if we were to do that, I just wanted to point out that very large markdown files are a little bit difficult to ingest. So I just wanted to point that out. It's not something that we have to do anything about now, but down the line, if it's something that we want to work with the education SIG and SKF, we might want to think about how we could think about the content a little bit more atomically. David knows what I'm talking about. 'Cause
Yeah,
we're on the same-
although I mean, like the fundamentals course is one big honking large markdown
Yes.
file. So I don't think it's exactly true that large markdown files are the problem. I think what you're concerned about is you want section headers and subheaders so that it's easy to find just a little piece with a clear name. Is that really what you mean?
That is part of it, but in general, like having very large markdown sections we've noticed that there is a performance degradation on the SKG. So if we can make things that are more, shall we say, digestible. So in other words, like what we're thinking about now is making like sections entire like nodes. So therefore they're more easily searchable, and it's more, the information as a whole is more malleable. But yes, like
Yeah, that sounds like an SKF specific problem, but I mean, if it helps SKF, then great. It's
Yes.
so
It is an SKF specific problem. However, I do know that in the plan, there is that API that we're trying to use to distribute content to other people. So, and I know that it's not something that we could do year one, which is why I'm saying it's a bit premature, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to point that out.
Actually, I don't think it's premature, and I don't actually think that SKF's ingest is the primary issue. I think it's just very, very helpful when you're reading a document to have headings and subheadings that give you kind of place points of where you are.
That is correct.
So, so even if SKF didn't exist, it would still be helpful. You know, I prefer to have at least one section heading a page and maybe more than one, just because, you know, man, I got this wall of text I'm reading through. And sometimes it can be helpful to give, oh, I'm in this part, I'm in that part.
Another interesting note from OWASP is that OWASP noticed that when they break up documents, they get better contribution rates. I recently learned that as well.
Yeah, there are disadvantages to breaking it up also.
I agree.
But I think I would say let's start by just breaking it, you know, trying to put sections in if it's more than a page. And primarily if for no other reason, that's for signposts.
Fair. I can deal with that. Thank you, David.
And again, our goal is to not only make it clear, which is and accurate, but understandable. So this is one of those tricks that can help.
Now, while we're on the subject, David, is this something that we did want to consider? Because I know that we talked about that we have no education for the use of salsa or anything like that. So would this be something that we would consider?
At least I can't speak for all the education SIG, but at least for the fundamentals course, we actually do update based on the OpenSSF materials, but usually we wait until it's a little more solid. Like, for example, the concise guidelines for evaluating open source software. We waited until they had a 1.0 and then we retrofitted back. Now, granted, that's a weird case where the fundamentals course created the first draft, then they made edits, and then when they're all done, we ingested back. So, but I think the notion here is we don't want to be too premature. I don't think it has to be a rule. We have to always wait till a 1.0 version. But I think we want to make sure that people have a chance to disagree, raise issues, you know, raise problems, and then once it's fixed, give the good guidance based on that.
In agreement.
Jay, Adrian, anybody else? Thoughts?
No, that's excellent.
No, good to go.
So I'm going to actually try to make notes in our little agenda here.
Yeah, you're such a good scribe, David. I just let you run with it.
Okay. Well, be careful with that. I will write down what I heard, not necessarily what was said. I sadly also make mistakes. Being human is a real problem. All right, so let's see. Hopefully that gets the gist. So I think there is very much though an interest and appetite even for creating educational materials based on this once we've got a solid agreement. And then I think, and maybe I can stick this, Adrian, into your ear, into Jay, your ear, probably everybody in the group. Basically, do you think that should be integrated into some existing materials, or might it be better separate? Or we don't have to answer that question today, but I think we want to make sure that not only we do, most important is we say the right things, that everything's clear and accurate and all that good stuff. But then we need to make sure we get the word spread, and the most effective way isn't always the same. So, think through how you would want to get the educational materials out there too. once you have confidence in what you're going to say.
Yeah, Randall, would love to learn more about where this might fit. If you could kind of give us a few pointers, happy to review it and take a look.
Yeah, absolutely. That's no problem. I'm just going to throw this out there that I think that the end user group and John, they've talked to me if we were going to integrate this into SKF, because I know John has a use case at his job for using SKF and putting security training together with that. So, and I know John's very interested in this proposal as well, or this framework as well.
Yeah, and I'm certainly interested in, I lead the fundamentals course, which then gets sucked into SKF, but SKF also has all the labs and some of the other materials. So I'm also interested in at least trying to get the highlights. The fundamentals course is just kind of the most key points, and then pointing off to more details. So certainly would be interested in that as well. There's already some material about consumption, of course. So,
Okay.
we haven't, we don't have to make that decision today, but I think it's worthy of thinking through and starting that discussion.
Agreed.
Yeah, this could be a topic to follow up on in a future sync.
Because I mean, theoretically, we could make labs for this. Just saying. I mean, we could make labs for this.
Yeah, so I think one thing probably is worth discussing, and is synchronizing this not only with SALSA, which is valid, but also the there's a guide on evaluating open source software. Just has a list of 9 questions. So I'm going to throw that into the so SKF and fundamentals are obviously 2 places for it to go. And then there's also, here's the link there. What about connection to guide to evaluating OSS? Okay, and there's the link. All right. Anything else?
Going once, going twice. Woohoo!
All right. Thank you so very much.
Yeah.
Adrian, Jay, thank you so much. And Randall, well, really everybody here.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.